watching the best. Fox 10 News at 9.
Thanks for joining us. Election night in Arizona right now on Fox 10 News at 9. The ballots are being counted. The counting continues at this hour. And the results from Arizona's 2024 primary election are already pouring in. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for our special election coverage. More than 1 million Arizona votes were cast in today's primary election.
And tonight's results in many races could be a big indicator of what's to come November. So we want to get right out to some of the results in the biggest races tonight. First up, we'll start the closely watched U.S. Senate race. The matchup between Kari Lake and Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. Kari Lake was polling ahead up to tonight, and it looks like she is coming out on top tonight in the primary. 53% over Mark Lamb's 41%. Elizabeth Ray was also running in this race. She got 6% of the vote there. But Kari Lake had the Trump endorsement. She had the name recognition across the state. And Mark Lamb, a border sheriff, but it looks like he did not come out victorious tonight.
Yeah, his name is known, though. We may see more of Mark Lamb in the future in politics. We will see. Let's go to the House District 1 Democratic race. This is for which Democrat will face the longtime Republican there, David Schweikert, first elected in 2010. And Amish Shah right now is winning in that race by about 3 percentage points, 72% of the votes that have been counted. He is an emergency room physician, and this guy worked very hard in that district. He was in the House of Representatives in Arizona from 2019 to 2024. Andre Cherney, he has run many times, former Clinton guy, you know, a former Obama guy, and he really was pulled to the left in this primary because this primary got pretty far left. Marlene Galan Woods, obviously Grant Wood's wife, and she worked here at Fox 10. She was an anchor here, and she's putting up a pretty good battle as well tonight. It's not a ton of votes separating all these folks, but right now in the percentage, you see that.
In Congressional District 8, this was a very closely watched race, still is. There was only one Democrat that was running, so there are 6 candidates running on the GOP side. We have Abraham Hamadeh, who many people know as well. He's been polling pretty close to Masters up till tonight, and when it came to the issues, the two were actually closely aligned on that. Blake Masters and Abe Hamadeh, both endorsed by Mr. Trump. And you recognize their names because in 2022, Republican nominee for Senate in Arizona, Blake Masters, lost to Mark Kelly by 5 percentage points. And then Abe Hamadeh was running in 2022. He was the nominee for Arizona Attorney General. So it looks like Abe Hamadeh got 30% tonight. He's ahead of Blake Masters. And Ben Toma, the Arizona House Speaker, fell short as well with 22% of the vote there. Trent Franks with 17%.
Yeah, you got to wonder if Blake Masters was thinking, thank you, Mr. Trump, for the endorsement and needed to come earlier. Coming on Saturday, most people have already voted.
Yeah.
Stephen Richer, the sitting county attorney, seeking a second term, and right now he is trailing Justin Heap, who has questioned everything about elections in Maricopa County. Justin Heap would like to do away with early voting. He'd like to turn it more into a precinct model and not let elections go on for 30 days. He thinks we need to tidy this thing up. Stephen Richer's been a big defender of his office. Obviously, he squared off with Kari Lake in lawsuits where he has now sued her for defamation over saying that he stole the election 2 years ago. Right now, Richer is trailing by about 1.5%.
We do have live team election coverage tonight. Our Fox 10 crews are all over the valley covering all the major races.
Let's begin with Lauren Clark. She's covering this battle in the U.S. Senate. Kari Lake's been declared the winner. No real surprise here, but maybe the margin is a bit of a surprise.
Hey there, John and Christina. Well, the Kari Lake has all been but declared the winner here in this race. Several outlets, including the AP, have called it for her. And Ruben Gallego, the Democrat running unopposed, has already acknowledged her as the person he is going to run against come November. The margin, as you pointed out, John, is pretty significant here. According to the Secretary of State's website, she's leading 53.3% of the vote compared to Lamb Lamb's 40.7% of the vote. And for some context here, that's over 60,000 votes she is leading by at this moment. Now, at her watch party here at the Hilton, you can see it's pretty packed over here. I actually had to make sure that my IFB was pushed in just enough because of all the volume that's going on. And it looks like Kari is going to be taking the stage coming up in just a few minutes here. Supporters have been huddled around their phones, refreshing results and cheering as speakers have been up here on the stage. This was a lead that was expected by pollsters. Noble Predict Insights expected Lake to beat Lamb 49 to 83%. And energy has been high here since just after 8 p.m. And it looks like in just a few moments, she will probably be up here on the stage. So I'm going to send it over to the stage right now. Take a listen.
When she said she's going to stay here in Arizona, I don't just think she's going to do it, I know she will. Growing up, my mom taught my brother and I the value of hard work. She got it from her family. She was the youngest of 9 siblings, and she was never simply given anything.
All right, guys, so back over here live, we've also heard from Mark Lamb, who is currently not conceding at this moment. However, he has said that he will support Lake if she does win today. And we've also heard from Gallego, who has put out a statement saying in part that he is going to be facing over Lake. And also he has mentioned that he is going to be really trying to push for this race here. So we will be out throughout the rest of the evening. Make sure you stay right here at Fox 10 for the latest. Reporting live from Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Okay, Lauren, thanks. We're going to get back to this Maricopa County Recorder's race because incumbent Stephen Richer right now, he's had to spend nearly his entire tenure defending the county's election practices and claims from those who said that the results in 2022 were fraudulent, 2020 were fraudulent. So he's in a battle tonight. He's trailing Justin Heap.
Yeah, he is. And Don Hyatt is also in the race as well. He's an IT specialist here in the Valley. But Fox 10's Lindsay Regis has been following this race very closely today, and she joins us now with the latest. Lindsay.
John and Christina, this has been a very tight race between Stephen Richer and Justin Heap. Heap leading by about 7,000 votes, but we're still waiting for more results to come in. However, the two did debate last month. Take a look. State Representative Justin Heap of Mesa was asked if the 2020 election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. Heap said there was not enough transparency in the office to make a definitive statement. He also said in the last 2 election cycles, voters lost confidence in the system. Meanwhile, in that June debate, incumbent Stephen Richer defended Maricopa County's elections and points to 0 court cases with rulings in favor of those claiming the election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. In the past, Richer drew heavy criticism by some Republicans for calling out former President Donald Trump when it came to the 2020 election being stolen. Richer says he has made changes since taking office, including enhancing vote tracking, rebuilding the website, and giving tours to earn the trust of voters. Here's what Democrat Tim Stringham has to say to the Republican candidate he'll face this November.
I think we live in a world where everybody's really quick to criticize the other side. Everybody wants to come out and lob insults no matter who it is. The goal is to run the same election regardless. We can't have a system where people are expected to have faith in elections if we incentivize and allow politicians to just attack the people running them. I'm a veteran. I'm an attorney. I think I bring an abundance of leadership to the position, and that's the story that we're going to tell people regardless of who the Republican nominee is.
So Tim was the only candidate who was willing to sit down with us. We asked the 3 Republican candidates for an interview today and last week. However, they never got back to me about getting an interview. Reporting live, Lindsay Regis, Fox 10 News.
Lindsay, it's interesting. There was discussion that Stringham might, the Democrat, if Richer won, there was some discussion that the Democrats might fold on this recorder's office race and let Richer take it because they felt that Richer had defended democracy in the sense of voting. Now with this race, if it turns out to be Stringham and Justin Heap, all bets are off.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be very interesting what happens there. I did speak with Stringham, who said he talked to Richard before this all happened, and they were trying to come up with a plan of how exactly this would sort out. So it will be interesting to see what happens later tonight into tomorrow, and then, of course, in November.
Okay.
All right, Lindsay Regas for us tonight. Lindsay, thank you. And let's head back to Phoenix tonight, the Kari Lake watch party in the race for U.S. Senate. In Arizona, she is the projected winner, trying to flip this seat to the GOP, and the AP has called it for her. So we're expecting to hear from her in just a couple of moments.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're there yet. But for Kari Lake, there she is. Okay, Kari Lake taking the stage. Let's listen in.
Love you guys. Woo! Do we need some heroes? Do we need some heroes or what? Actually, I see a lot of heroes in this room. I see a few of my personal heroes. Floyd, I see you over there. I see so many members of my team who have worked so hard over the last 10, 11 months to make sure that we are running a great campaign for the people of this great state. Thank you for being heroes. How many of you are door knockers the last couple months through 115-degree heat? Wait, raise your hand if you've been a door knocker. Okay, honestly, those are the real heroes, because it's about 115 degrees, and they've been knocking on 900 doors every single day. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I see our donors, people who reached deep into their pockets. Some pulled $20 out, and that was difficult because, let's face it, we're living in Bidenomics, and it's not working out very well. And then there's people who pulled a lot more than that out, and I appreciate every one of you. You truly are American heroes. And I'm going to go real personal here with my favorite heroes, which is my husband, Jeff. I just saw him disappear somewhere. He's my, there he is, right here. Say hi to Jeff. He's awesome. I've met him in Arizona. I married him in Arizona, and little did he know that we would be on this wild ride. And he's been not only, he gets me around, he drives me, he protects me. This guy will protect me. This guy will protect me. If anybody wants to hurt me, he will protect me. And he's my confidant. He's happy to sit in silence with me. We've all had those long days where we just want to sit silently with someone, and I love you so much, Jeff. Thank you. And then my kids, you just saw my firstborn, Ruby. How awesome is Ruby? And you're going to meet my son, Leo, in a little bit. He's incredible as well. I'm just so blessed. There's so many heroes. But I think we all share one common hero. And I think I'm safe to say that we think of our favorite president, Donald J. Trump, as a hero, right? Absolutely. Somebody said Trump, Trump, Trump. I agree. Trump, Trump. Fight, fight. That's right. We got to fight for this country. Really, to be honest, I want to thank my friend, President Donald J. Trump. I want to thank him for not only his endorsement, that means a lot to me, but I want to thank him for more than that. His support, his advice, his friendship, and his strength. That guy is bulletproof. He's literally bulletproof, guys. Trump is bulletproof. He's got God. Who said that? He's got God. We've got God. We've got God. Somebody said to me the other day, God saved President Trump. And I said, you know what? I think God saved us when he saved President Trump. I really do believe that. So we all love you, President Trump, and I want to thank him. But you know what? He can't do it alone. It's not about one man. It really isn't. He can't do this alone. He needs backup in Washington, D.C.
Okay, Kari Lake wins tonight. She's projected the winner. Mark Lamb, a respectable finish, and kind of the bottom line here is she's going to have some shoring up to do within her own party. to try to coalesce around her to face Ruben Gallego, who right now is still polling ahead of her. So there's going to be some work to be done. And shoring up those McCain voters who I would say were not thrilled with her last candidacy for governor. So that's going to be some work that she's going to have to do going forward.
She'll have to work on independence, on getting the young vote as well as she heads into November to face Ruben Gallego. So we'll have more election results when we return in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
watching Fox 10 News at 9 with John Hook and Christina Carilla.
We'll take a look at some more results tonight as they come in the race for Maricopa County Sheriff. Jerry Sheridan, 51% of the vote there. Frank Milstead only getting 29%. Sheridan, by the way, he has touted over 40 years experience with the sheriff's office, the former chief deputy. He worked under Arpaio as well, and this is the second time he's running for the office. He was the GOP candidate in 2020, and then he ultimately lost to Penzone, and he is really pulling ahead here with 51% of the vote for sheriff.
Yeah, and Frank Milstead's a known quantity. Ran DPS, ran Mesa Police Department. He was a Phoenix police officer for a long time before that. That is an interesting result. And right now, the incumbent who's sitting in that seat right now is Russ Skinner, a lifelong Republican who switched over to Democrat when they had to fill Paul Penzone's seat. And Skinner switched parties so he could be in the mix for that. But he is trailing Tyler Camp right now by a pretty good margin. That is another bit of a surprise tonight, about 8 percentage points.
Yeah, what else do we have here? Okay, in the race for Maricopa County Attorney, Rachel Mitchell, 59% of the vote there to Gina Godby here's 41%. Rachel Mitchell, by the way, 30 years experience, tough on crime. That's a big question going into this race. A lot of people questioning the handling of the so-called Gilbert goons in Gilbert and all that crime that was happening there, still is. But Rachel Mitchell, she served as, you might remember, the nominations investigative counsel during Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings on a national stage. So many people know her that way. And then Gina Godby here, 25 years experience with the Maricopa County's Attorney's Office. Chief Prosecutor, City of Goodyear.
Yeah, two veterans of that office, and Rachel Mitchell, 32 years prosecuting sex crimes in the county attorney's office. But she appears to be cruising to November. Mike Noble joins us now. Boy, good to see you.
Yeah, you've been doing all the polling.
Oh, yeah, I've been doing that and then some all across the country, but definitely no place better than our home state of Arizona.
What's the bottom line tonight, Mike?
Well, the bottom line is that our polling showed basically that the Trump impact, the Trump endorsement is alive and well here in Arizona. And not only that, you've seen some instances like Rachel Mitchell and some others that have kind of staved off these more hard to the right pushes, but you've seen where a lot of those folks were able to kind of push through that were the Trump endorsed candidates. But the Trump endorsement is probably the most valuable endorsement in Republican primaries right now, especially here.
Let's talk about the Senate race. You saw Kari Lake, the projected winner there. Are you surprised by how far ahead she is? Did you think that it would be a wider margin at this point?
I would be if I wasn't able to cheat, quote unquote, with polling. So we put our poll record out just yesterday. We said Lake would be at 50% of the vote. She's at 53 right now. Said Lamb would be at 38%. He's at 41. And Elizabeth Rye is at 6% at 3, which is well within that margin. So we kind of it's going based on the data that we saw when we surveyed Arizona voters. So that Senate race, but I think it's closer than I think people expected, because here's the thing: Mark Lamb was outraised 5-1 from Kari Lake, so she had significantly more resources. Also, she had a lot more name ID. She had about 95% name ID, well-known former statewide nominee, and then he had about 65% name ID. So for only be a 12-point race, I think it kind of shows that she still has some shoring up to do on the Republican base.
And that's what I was going to ask you. In 2022, there were 33,000 Republicans who did not vote for her in that race.
Correct.
This is still a hill to climb for her.
Correct. She still has that same issue to deal with. She needs to consolidate that smaller but moderate wing of that McCain wing.
It's the McCain folks.
Correct. Yeah.
Largely.
Yeah. Correct. It's more the affluent, more moderate ideological Republicans, and basically she needs to shore that up, but also really repair her image among independent voters. And I think going from a different tact of not talking about the election integrity issues and trying to talk to more kitchen table issues such as housing affordability, inflation, and border security, if she could just stick to those three, I think she'd be in a really good shape with it. But and look no further, Trump's on average polling in Arizona about 5 points ahead of whichever Democrat he's going against right now. Right. But then Lake is on average behind about 6 points roughly. So there's about an 11-point gap between the two. So again, it shows that she has a little more shoring up to do compared to some others on the ticket.
Let's talk about Congressional District 8, because there's 6 candidates running on the GOP side here. There's only 1 Democrat, so everyone's talking about the GOP race here.
Yes.
You had 2 Trump-endorsed candidates.
Yeah.
And Abe Hamadeh is pulling ahead in the race, 30% here to Blake Masters, 23%. They're both endorsed by Trump. And then Ben Toma, Arizona House Speaker, 22%. Are you surprised by this?
Not really, because I think Abe over there had Trump's endorsement first. Blake didn't get his endorsement until a few days ago, but much of the die was already cast, much of the vote was already in.
Exactly.
So you couldn't really change it. And so Abe, and that goes to show the Trump endorsement not only is the most powerful, but especially in multi-candidate fields, when you have a lot of folks running in these clustered primaries, because it'll get you about 30-35% of the vote right off there. So you don't have to have the most money or name ID. That endorsement powerful, and it shows it right here.
And it's one of the most safe Republican districts in the state. This is Debbie Lesko's district.
Yes.
Trent Franks was in there forever. It's a Republican district, so whoever wins that likely will be your congressman.
For a long time.
That is exactly right. Yeah. Mike Noble, Noble Predictive Insights. Great to see you.
Thank you. Stick around.
Yeah, stick around. I don't know if we can hold you here. I know you've got kids at home.
I have 3 young children at home, so it's way past my bedtime, but I will stay just for you all.
Mike, we appreciate it. We do. Thank you.
Okay, before we head to break, we have some more results that are coming in. Let's take a look. Congressional District 1, the Democratic race here. Amish Shah, 24% of the vote there. Andre Cherney, 21%, so pretty close, but Amish Shah is leading in this race. And then Marlene Galan Woods, Connor O'Callaghan down there at the bottom as well.
72% of the vote in. That's exactly what they predicted at the Maricopa County Recorder's office. That's about what we'd have at this hour. And this is a very interesting race in House District 3. This is to fill the seat vacated by Ruben Gallego when he's running for U.S. Senate. And Yasmin Ansari is winning that race. She's the youngest person ever to end up on the Phoenix City Council. And Raquel Turan, who was the head of the party. This has been an interesting race, but Ansari, boy, dogged campaigner. And she's up by 5 percentage points at this hour. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. Back in a minute on primary night, Fox 10.
Fox 10 News is back.
Well, as is typical in Arizona, most of the races in today's primary focused on the Republican side, but in one district that is considered a vulnerable spot for Republicans, possibly a Democrat takeover, that is District 1, the most affluent district in Arizona. That's Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, parts of North Phoenix.
Yeah, the winner will take on David Schweikert, the incumbent, come November. So we'll take a look at that congressional district, District 1, anchored in Scottsdale, covers Paradise Valley, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills.
Steve Nielsen is covering this race. He's really dug into this district over the last few weeks. He joins us live from the Amish Shaw headquarters. And this guy worked particularly hard in that district, apparently, knocking on doors, emergency room guy, surgeon. He's an impressive candidate.
Well, and right now he has the lead in this race, and the room here is appreciating that. They've been pretty loud here tonight. When we first walked in, wasn't expecting that. Very excited here with this early lead that they have right now in the race. I'll bring you in here. Just tell me about this crowd here.
Meet my closest friends and family. What can I say? I just feel as though these are the folks who have truly supported me from the beginning of my time in politics. And you can't, this is a team sport. You can't do this without lots of people behind you and people who love you, support you, care for you. And I just hope I can make them all proud.
You have a 1,500 vote lead at this point. 72% of the votes have come in. Where are you at confidence-wise right now?
I just think every vote counts, and we just have to wait for all those votes to count. And if we're to prevail, which I certainly hope we do, then you know, we're going to be in the general, and I hope we can continue to uplift people, which is what we've done in this campaign. Knock on doors and meet them where they are, because we've done this in a grassroots fashion from the very beginning of my time in politics. Make it substantive and make it about the policies. Bring Democrats, independents, and Republicans together for a better world.
You know, something I've heard from the Republican side of this race is that having 6 candidates in this primary made it messy for the Dems. That was going to hurt the Dems in the general election. Are you concerned about unity after this?
I think there's a lot of enthusiasm on the Democratic side right now. Yeah. Not just in my race, but nationally as well. And I believe that will carry over into a lot of momentum.
You got your dad and mom behind you here.
They are.
When I first walked in, I heard your dad say, Amish for president?
Let's focus on one race at a time.
I know in the debates you talked a lot about knocking on doors. How important was that personal connection so far in this race for you compared to the TV ads, the big picture stuff like that, just that door knock?
I think that is the bread and butter of this campaign. And we built all of this door by door, relationship by relationship at those doors with those voters, giving them a voice, giving them a chance to be a part of politics and collective decision making for our society. And that's, it's almost a message to everybody out there in politics. A lot of people feel that they don't have that say, they don't feel part of it, and that it's something distant from them. We wanted to bring it right to their living rooms. And from the very beginning, this has been the way that we've won. And I hope we'll continue to win.
I know you'll be tracking these results very closely here over the next few days. Yeah. Really appreciate joining us live. Thank you
so much.
So, John, you heard it here from the candidate with the lead right now, 1,500 vote lead. Still some votes to count, though, but you can hear pretty celebratory here in this room.
Yeah. Steve, you called it earlier on the change of that district. That district added some areas of Phoenix, even down to South Phoenix almost, and that district has changed because of the census.
It has. The district boundaries have changed. Again, we were in a precinct earlier today that's within this district that, according to registered Republicans and Democrats, is the most competitive district or precinct in the entire county. Nearly split even between Republicans and Democrats. This district has changed substantially over the last 10 to 15 years. We'll see how that plays out in the general. But again, this is a seat that nationally Democrats are very hopeful to pick up. We'll see how much money comes into this race after this week. Once it's locked up who this candidate's going to be on the Democratic side, you can expect dollars to follow.
Yeah, if it's Amish Shah, that is who David Schweikert thought would win, actually. He picked it, if that holds. So, Steve, thank you. All right, new results coming in from the crowded race for Congressional District 8.
Yes, this is Debbie Lesko's seat. She is not running in District 8. She's running for county supervisors, the Board of County Supervisors, so she is not running. And it's a six-way contest on the Republican side. Some big names on the ballot. We've got Blake Masters, Abraham Hamadeh, Ben Toma as well. And Abe Hamadeh has 30% of the vote there. Blake Masters with 23%. Both of them endorsed by Trump, although the endorsement from Trump came late for Blake Masters.
Yeah, I mean, most of the votes were cast by that point because we expect that 70+ some % of the vote is by mail. So that was probably most of it done before the Trump endorsement for Masters came late. And then you had this weird dynamic where Hamadeh and Masters both earned his stamp of approval. By the way, Hamadeh lives in Scottsdale. Masters lives in Tucson.
How about that?
This district does not contain either of those people.
Yeah.
So Trent Franks lives there, Toma lives there, but the two leaders here do not live in that district.
Kenzie Beach is live tonight with the latest on this race as well. Kenzie.
Yeah, guys, you make a very good point there. This is a very close race in the 8th Congressional District. 6 candidates, but like you mentioned, it's coming down to those two, Abe Hamadeh and Blake Masters. It's going to be one of those two, but the thing is they've both been endorsed by Trump. We're here at Kari Lake's watch party because Abe Hamadeh does have Kari Lake's endorsement. The endorsement from Trump did come a little bit later, but that came over this weekend. Now, both Masters and Hamadeh spoke in a June debate on their priorities in District 2 District 8 voters if either of them are elected.
On day one, when I'm in Congress, I'm going to introduce legislation to classify the drug cartels as a foreign terrorist organization. We have to go to war against these monsters. I know better than anybody that our elections are completely compromised, and I can't wait to join President Trump in Washington to fix our elections once and for all.
There's economic problems with it. We'll talk about that. There's public safety and crime problems. We'll talk about that. But my pledge to you is when you send me to D.C., I will be the most conservative, most right-wing, anti-immigration member of Congress. We need to deport 20 or 30 million illegals because if we don't, we're not going to have a country.
Now we're here at Kari Lake's watch parties. She's speaking right now behind me, but when that District 8 update came in with those votes, people here were very happy with both Abe Hamadeh and Blake Masters being those top two candidates. Now whoever wins that GOP nominee will go face-to-face against Greg Whitman. He ran uncontested in this race. Reporting live tonight, Kenzie Beach, Fox 10 News.
Yeah, that's a district that really, it's all plays out in the primary.
Yeah.
We'll have an election in November, but that is a solidly Republican district.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in November with that. Okay, coming up next, counting the votes. We're going to head out live to the Maricopa County Election Center with a look inside at the ballot counting process. We'll see how that is going tonight. That's next.
10 News is back.
Okay, we're about an hour, 40 minutes since the polls closed at 7 p.m. Election workers are counting the ballots.
But a lot of votes have already been counted at this point. A little more than 1.5 million Arizonans cast a ballot for today's primary. And about 80% of those ballots were already received before today by election officials because of Arizona's popular early voting.
Yes, this was actually the Republicans' idea years ago to make it easier to vote, even though it's come under fire from some corners of the right. Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez joins us now live at Maricopa County Tabulation Center in downtown Phoenix with a look at the ballot counting process.
Hey guys, how you doing? So we are here in the tabulation room behind me. It's practically empty. That is because the poll workers are out and about right now. They are picking up those drop-off ballots, the memory cards, and voter turnout, we expected it to be pretty low. It usually is during primaries. Right now, early numbers show it just above 22%. So the results that everyone is seeing right now, that's from all of those 500,000 early and mail-in ballots that have come in. That is a very popular way to vote now in Arizona. Each election we see more and more mail-in ballots, but right now hundreds of poll workers crisscrossing Maricopa County, going to 222 different voting centers, picking up the ballots and getting the memory cards. New this year, they have to count all of the drop-off ballots before they can load them in the truck and come back here with that memory card. So really, we're just at the very beginning stages of this counting process. So let's bring in the gentleman who has been up since early this morning and will probably be up for the next 12 hours, Board of Supervisors Chair Bill Gates. Where are we at in this process? What can we expect for the rest of the night? And I should ask, how did today go?
Yeah, today went great. Thanks for asking. Really just an incredible effort by everyone who's involved in elections here in Maricopa County. You know, we had about 75,000 people who did vote in person. In addition to that, as you mentioned, we had people drop off their mail-in ballots. We don't know how many at this point. We'll have a better idea later going into tomorrow. But we had about 550,000 ballots. Those were early ballots that were reported around 8 p.m. So we're starting to get a sense of where things are at. And then here very soon, we will start that process of reporting the numbers from those people who showed up and voted today in person. That's going to be going on now for the next several hours. So we do ask for everyone's patience. As you know, Maricopa County is a big county. And as you also added, we did for the first time in this election, we're required to count up all of those early ballots. So those are those green envelopes that are dropped off today. So a lot of different responsibilities that our folks have, but slowly but surely we will be getting these totals will be increasing throughout the night into early morning.
Yeah, that new step, there was some concern that it could slow down this process. And John and Christina, you already saw a lot of the candidates are already in celebration mode, but the numbers are still coming in. So when can we expect the totals?
Well, what we're looking at right now, we're anticipating that here over the next few days, by the time we get to Friday, we'll have about 95% of the total votes counted. So, and then going in through the weekend to where by next week we'll be in a position we'll have 100% of the vote in. But we're getting close. This is nothing unusual. This is how things have been run here now in Arizona for many, many years. But we're doing everything we can here to move that process along quickly while still making sure that accuracy is our #1 objective.
That's great. And doesn't he look great for somebody who has a 24-hour day ahead of him? You are still speaking well and you look great, so thank you.
Well,
and so yes, the action just getting started behind me, and check in with us at 10. Maybe we'll have some poll workers back starting the count. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay.
Ashley, thank you. Yeah,
Thanks, Ashley.
it's been a smooth sailing day.
Yeah, you know, and this is the thing about voting early. Some people might have taken into account how this election day went if they were voting all in person.
Right.
But today, very smooth. Here's the District 3 race, and this is probably, frankly, your next congressperson, woman from District 3. This is Ruben Gallego's district, and it is solidly Democratic. And Yasmin Ansari, Phoenix City Council, is beating Rakal Tehran, the former chair of the Democratic Party, endorsed by Mark Kelly, by the way. Ansari winning by 5 percentage points.
Yeah, the district's heavily Latino, so it's interesting to see Raquel trailing a bit behind Yasmin Ansari, an Iranian American. But yeah, 47% goes to Yasmin there. She's also received some money from the GOP side as well. So Republican donors have donated to her campaign. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Let's take a look at the Fountain Hills mayor's race. This is particularly interesting because of Joe Arpaio. He's 92 years old now. One more run, but who knows? Arpaio, it's in his blood, but he is trailing now. He's in third place there. It looks like Ginny Dickey is going to win that thing. She's got a pretty good lead, but again, only 44% of the vote counted, so we'll keep an eye on that in Fountain Hills.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Results in the primary are coming in at this hour. Let's take a look at the race for Maricopa County Recorder. On the Republican side, the incumbent Stephen Richer is trailing a bit, a little more than 6,000 votes, maybe 7,000 votes here. 38% he has to Justin Heap's 40%, so he's pulling out ahead.
And in House District 1, this is Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Cave Creek, Phoenix, Fountain Hills. This is David Schweikert's district. Schweikert's has been in Congress since 2010. Amish Shah, the emergency room physician, is winning tonight, 72% of the vote in over Andre Cherney and Marlene Galan-Woods. He's holding that lead. We spoke to him a few minutes ago. He's feeling pretty confident. Said he knocked on a lot of doors to try to win this race. By the way, Schweikert only won his last election by less than 1% of the vote. So this will be tight come November.
More results when we come back.
Fox 10 News is back.
We've got some new numbers coming in tonight for the primary election. We'll take a look first tonight in Congressional District 8 in the Republican side. Abraham Hamadeh with 30% of the vote there. He's strengthening his lead over Blake Masters with 23%. Both of these two are Trump-endorsed candidates, although Kari Lake has endorsed Hamadeh for this seat. Then you've got Ben Toma, the Arizona House Speaker, and then Trent Frank, 17% of the vote there. He was trying to make a comeback. He served as a congressman from 2003 to 2017, but it looks like it's not going to work out for him.
Let's take a look at the Maricopa County Sheriff race because there are a lot of dynamics working in this. And right now, Jerry Sheridan is leading Frank Milstead. Frank Milstead, who headed up DPS under Doug Ducey, headed up the Mesa Police Department, was a longtime Phoenix police officer before that. And Jerry Sheridan, who spent better part of 40 years in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office as Chief Deputy and under Arpaio for much of that time. Tyler Camp right now is beating Russ Skinner, who is the incumbent right now. Skinner took over for Paul Penzone. So we've had a shakeup there. That maybe wasn't expected. Tyler Camp could be the Democratic nominee in that race come November.
Fox 10 News is back.
The crisis at the southern border will be addressed on the ballot in November. The Secure the Border Act, now Prop 314, gives local law enforcement the ability to arrest migrants crossing into Arizona illegally.
They actually have to see them in the act of crossing the border illegally to make an arrest. Fox 10's Justin Lum joins us live with what supporters and opponents say about that bill.
And John, Christina, there is clearly controversy with this one, but come November, Arizona voters will be able to decide how immigration and border security are handled. We're only months away from the general election. Here's what the Secure the Border Act would do. Now, non-citizens entering the state of Arizona from any location other than a port of entry would be a state crime. And with probable cause, local law enforcement could arrest migrants believed to be crossing illegally. These arrests can lead to deportations ordered by state judges. Immigration advocacy group Living United for Change in Arizona, or LUCHA, have been fighting this border bill, concerned that it's a copy of SB 1070, the controversial law that allowed authorities to detain and check people believed to be undocumented based on suspicion. It was partially struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. Back then, LUCHA now calls Prop 314 SB 1070 on steroids, while Senate President Warren Peterson tells me there won't be any discrimination involved.
We have already experienced the family separation from SB 1070. And so this measure, that is the entire purpose of it, to detain, deport, identify folks that may look undocumented, to be able to separate and uproot families. And so that is not the Arizona that we are trying to build.
It doesn't matter which country is entering, who's entering this country illegally. It doesn't matter what country they're from. If they don't come through a lawful port of entry, then they're breaking the law.
And there's more with Prop 314. It would also make it a state crime to use false documentation to apply for public benefits or employment. Fentanyl sales as well, leading to someone's death, would also be a felony crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Proponents of this border bill have said the fentanyl crisis is clearly linked to the border crisis, so there are multiple elements packed into this measure, one to watch out for in November. Justin Lum, Fox 10 News.
You're watching the best. Fox 10 News. Now, new at 10.
Thank you for joining us for our special election coverage. More than 1 million Arizona votes were cast in today's primary election.
And the results started coming in around 8 o'clock tonight. That was the first batch. And some of those races, they're already being called.
Yeah, and that includes the Republican race for Senate. This one is highly watched all across the country. That is where Kari Lake is declared victorious tonight over Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. And she will face off against Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego in November.
Lake just spoke to a crowd about that win, and Fox 10's Lauren Clark is live now with more. Lauren.
Hey there, Ellen and Mark. Well, now it is official. The race for the Senate come November is set. It is going to be Lake versus Gallego, just as the pollsters have predicted. Lake certainly having a very dominant victory here. She won 50.3%, or 53.3% of the votes compared to Mark Lamb's 40%. That's a margin of victory of about 65,000 votes. And again, no surprises here from a lot of political insiders of what they were expecting of this race. Her watch party here at the Hilton quickly transformed from a watch party into a victory party just after 8 p.m. when those first votes, a batch of votes actually dropped. It was quickly apparent that she was going to win by a pretty big margin tonight. And when she walked up here on the stage addressing voters, she thanked her supporters, thanked her family, and also, while appealing to her base, which is very pro-Trump, made a point in that speech to try to reach out to moderates in this race, independents, a group that a lot of political insiders say that she's going to have a very difficult time winning over come November. Meanwhile, Mark Lamb, that's the sheriff of Pinal County, also a Republican in this race, he had a watch party of his own in Santan Valley. A very different feeling over there, though. He did not concede, and he, at one point in the morning, he thought he still had a really good chance, and he was certainly not going to give up. However, he he did say if Kari Lake would win tonight, he was going to endorse her in her race against Gallego. Meanwhile, Ruben Gallego, the Democrat who ran uncontested in this race, also spoke to Fox 10, saying he is prepared for November.
I want to thank all of you, every one of you sitting here, standing here. You guys are what has made this happen. We have defied one odd after another, one challenge after another, and we're standing here today, and I think we're in the catbird seat, as JC likes to say. We're in the catbird seat for this election.
This is not a battle between Democrats and Republicans. This is a battle between good and evil. This is a battle between the people who want to destroy this country and the people who want to save America.
Glad we won the primary. It's a great feeling and honor to actually fight for the voters of Arizona, and we look forward to doing that. We're going to work every vote, and we're going to remind people that we're running against one of the most extremist, radical politicians that Arizona's ever seen in the Senate. And
now, in the next weeks and months to come, not only Arizonans will be closely monitoring this race, but also politicos across the country. The reason why this is the cinema seat here. We are talking about a seat of a very moderate Democrat turned independent, one that sometimes voted with Democrats, other times voted with Republicans, and it has the potential to become either very progressive or very aligned with Trump here. So certainly both parties will be watching this. Right now, looking at all of the national polls, an average of them, it does suggest that Gallego does have an edge right now over Lake. But again, the election is still months away. Things can easily shift and change in this election world we have seen here in the United States for the past few months. So we will be keeping an eye on these races and following it right here at Fox 10. Reporting live here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Yeah, and you know, Lauren, this is going to be one of the most expensive Senate races in the country. There is just going to be money now going into either candidate's campaign just to get their message out there. So that's something that we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, it's almost hard to fathom how much money is going to be coming into Arizona because, again, that is such a hotly contested seat. And we know that Kari Lake has the endorsement of Donald Trump, so that's also going to bring in a lot of money. Lauren, she also mentioned Donald Trump, Kari Lake did in her victory speech several times tonight.
Yeah, she absolutely did, and she thanked him for his support. We know that he endorsed her during a telephone rally on Monday, and she made a point to name drop him several times during the speech as a result. And you made up the point of money, Mark, and Kari Lake certainly had in this particular race a lot more money than Mark Lamb. She had about $10 million into this primary. Mark Lamb just had, I believe it was over $1 million or so, and we certainly saw the result of that as well. And a lot of money is going to be funneled into these races. There's also some talk of whether the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Harris will play a role down the ticket ballot for some voters here in Arizona. So certainly a lot of interesting dynamics will be in play for this race.
Yeah, no doubt. Lauren Clark, thanks so much for joining us live tonight. We want to show you those results right now. The graphic here showing where this race stands. Kari Lake, 54% of the vote to Mark Lamb's 40%. 67% has been counted, but again, Kari Lake is moving on to, of course, face Ruben Gallego.
And now let's take a look at another hotly watched and contested matchup here. We're talking about House District 1. The winner on the Democratic side will be facing off against incumbent Republican David Schweikert. And at this point, it looks like Amish Shah is having the lead here with 24.3% over Andre Cherney. This was there were 6 people in this race. And so it was, again, there was a lot of people who wanted this seat. And it looks like at this point, at least with what we have coming in, Amish Shah is in the lead there.
House District 8, let's look at that right now. Abe Hamadeh, 30% of the vote over Blake Masters right now. 67 or 65% of the vote has been counted, but this is something we will continue to watch here. Ben Toma was endorsed by Debbie Lesko, and this is the seat that they're trying to get. Debbie Lesko is leading Congress to run for the Board of Supervisors. So right now, Abe Hamadeh looking like he is going to pull that off.
And for Maricopa County Recorder, this matchup here, Stephen Richer, a man who really gained a lot of national attention, even though he didn't want that attention, but he appears to be trailing behind his challenger here, Justin Heap. They are separated right now by just about 6,700 votes, so this is still a close race, not anything that can be called at this point. They are still counting a lot of those ballots that came in. On the Democratic side of this race, Congressman Ruben Gallego, we're talking about Kari Lake's race here for Senate, who ran unopposed, officially won the nomination. We spoke with him right after those results came in, and tonight this race, we're finding out more what it's going to look like when he goes up against Kari Lake. He was asked about this issue on abortion, and Gallego had this to say.
I trust women. Kari Lake wants to force women to take away decisions from women. You know, she's been all over the place. When the 1864 abortion law came down, she said it's not that big of a deal. Any woman can drive 3 hours any which way to get an abortion.
And between all three Senate candidates, Gallego held the slim lead in the polls going into today's primary. Gallego's former seat is another race of interest tonight.
And that is Congressional District 3. It includes downtown Phoenix and a portion of Glendale. The two Democrats looking to take his place. There are really three, but two were battling it out. Yasemin Ansari, a former vice mayor at the city of Phoenix. Raquel Peran is a state senator. You can see right there that Yasemin Ansari, she is a young, fresh-faced politician. 46% to Raquel Peran's 42%. This is a heavily Democratic district, so whoever is going to win this one will likely win it easily in the fall. And Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer, we just spoke about his race. He's been in the news a lot as Arizona has become an epicenter of election denialism.
And Richer, who's a Republican, is currently, again, behind Justin Heap. We just showed you that. Fox 10's Lindsay Regis joins us now with more.
Mark and Ellen, right now it's between Stephen Richer and Justin Heap. Heap leading by about 6,700 votes, but we're still waiting for more of those results to come in. Now, the two did debate last month. Take a look. State Representative Justin Heap of Mesa was asked if the 2020 election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. Heap said there was not enough transparency in the office to make a definitive statement. He also said in the last two election cycles, voters lost confidence in the system. Meanwhile, in that June debate, incumbent Stephen Richer defended Maricopa County's elections and points to 0 court cases with rulings in favor of those claiming the election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. In the past, Richer drew heavy criticism by some Republicans for calling out former President Donald Trump when it came to the 2020 election being stolen. Richer says he has made changes since taking office, including enhancing vote tracking, rebuilding the website, and giving tours to earn trust of voters. If Heap secures a Republican seat, he'll face Democrat Tim Stringham in November. Now, I spoke with Tim. He says regardless of who wins tonight, he is looking forward to the November election. Reporting live, Lindsay Regis, Fox 10 News.
Lindsay, thank you. Now to the race for Maricopa County Sheriff. And current Sheriff Russ Skinner is running for re-election. This is the Republican side, though, at this point. Jerry Sheridan, who was Joe Arpaio's number 2, he is leading right now. And on the Democratic side, Tyler Camp, he's a former police lieutenant with the city of Phoenix. He is leading Sheriff Russ Skinner 54% to 46%.
And in the county attorney's race, Republican incumbent Rachel Mitchell facing a challenge from Gina Godby here, but Mitchell with a very strong lead tonight, again, 59% to 41%. Stay with Fox 10 for continuing coverage, by the way, throughout the evening. If you want some information on a specific race, you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen, or you can go to fox10phoenix.com/elections if you'd like to, again, get a deeper dive into some of those specific races.
All right, coming up here at 10 o'clock, we have much more election coverage. We'll have a live report from Congressional District 1, a seat that analysts believe could impact the balance of power on Capitol Hill. There's a watch party for one of the guys who is in the lead right now. We will go back to that in a moment.
I'm Ron Hoon. Tomorrow on AZAM, primary voters have their say. Now what? A political expert explains. And the kids are heading to the classrooms. A dietitian has back-to-school breakfast and lunch ideas. And looking for family fun, the Arizona Boardwalk returns to Talking Stick. We check out the new attractions tomorrow on AZAM.
You're watching Fox 10 News at 10 with Mark Martinez and Ellen McNamara.
And welcome back. On this primary night, a competitive fight for Congressional District 1. 6 Democrats battling it out to take on incumbent David Schweikert.
Yeah, and this is getting a lot of extra attention as well as one that Democrats believe that they can flip in November. That district is anchored in Scottsdale. It also covers Paradise Valley, Cape Creek, and Fountain Hills. This is a huge district. And it's Amish Shah that is currently in the lead here with 24% of the votes.
We want to head out now to Steve Nielsen, who is live out at the watch party for Amish Shah. And you know, Steve, he is known to knock on doors. He was a former state legislator, and he did it again. I mean, he's just knocking on all those doors, and he makes a connection with people, and clearly it has benefited him tonight.
Yeah, his name has become seemingly synonymous with door knocking. During all of the debates, that was the first thing he mentioned is, if you live in this district, I've probably knocked on your door. It seems hard that I wouldn't have. You know, and that's the first thing he mentioned to me when I spoke to him live in the last hour. Taking a look at his watch party here. Still quite a few people in the crowd here right now. This is a jovial, excited crowd. He has the lead in this race right now. It has not been called for him. We're talking about a difference of a little over 1,500 votes right now. So this is still a close race. It's jumbled up. I mean, the winner here of this race is going to walk away with 24, 25% of the vote. That's just because there was 6 candidates in this race. It was tight, hard fought throughout all of it. All of these candidates talked about how some of the more challenging parts of this was not necessarily the policy issues. They agreed a lot on the policy issues. It was trying to find a way to differentiate themselves throughout all of this. And now, one of the things the Republicans have talked about is, okay, you got 6 candidates. It's going to be real hard to unify after that. You're going to have problems in the general election trying to flip this seat. I talked to the candidates about that. They feel confident they'll be able to do that.
I just think every vote counts, and we just have to wait for all those votes to count. And if we are to prevail, which I certainly hope we do, then you know, we're going to be in the general, and I hope we can continue to uplift people, which is what we've done in this campaign. Knock on doors and meet them where they are, because we've done this in a grassroots fashion from the very beginning of my time in politics.
I think David Schweikert is so bad that we are going to be completely unified in our goal, which has been the goal for all of us from the very beginning, to make sure that we unseat him in November. So I don't anticipate any issues around party unity.
And, you know, I've reached out to David Schweikert's team as well on their anticipated win tonight. Haven't heard from them, but one thing I have heard from all of the sort of national Republicans, the eyes on this race, is that, you know, in 2022, Schweikert only won by less than a point. That's a big reason why Democrats feel they can flip this seat, but they actually feel like Schweikert performed really well in the 2022 election. When you consider how a lot of Trump-backed candidates performed in our state in 2022, the fact that he was able to hold on to the win, they're viewing that as a positive in this race, and they think he'll perform even better this time. I talked again with most of the candidates in this race tonight. They've informed me that the DCCC, that's sort of the Democratic congressional machine behind the works here, has been in contact with the campaigns. They've been trying to figure out who was going to win this thing, and it looks like in the next 24 hours we'll really know that answer, and you can expect the dollars to follow.
All right, Steve. Yeah, a lot of money pouring into Arizona this election season. That is true. Thank you, Steve, for that tonight. Primary election coverage will continue next at 10. We'll have a closer look at voter turnout and how today matched up to expectations. All right, let's take a look at more results as they're coming in. Taking a look at U.S. House District 8. Again, this was a six-way contest on the Republican side. There were some big names on the ballot here tonight. They were being narrowed down as we speak. Abe Hamadeh, who was backed early on by Donald Trump, currently leading with 30%, and Blake Masters trailing him by 23%. Masters was endorsed by Trump on Monday. And then there's Arizona House Speaker Ben Toma behind Masters and former Arizona Congressman Trent Franks at 17%. But again, it looks like Abe Hamadeh will be the big winner here tonight when all of those results come in. We still, again, don't have any official results on these races just yet.
Yeah, and this is a heavy Republican district. A look at the area that District 8 covers includes many of the suburbs north and west of Phoenix and several high-income retirement communities like Sun City West. As I said, it is a red-leaning district, so whoever is winning tonight, they are expected to win in November. Well, that seat was held by Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, who is leaving Capitol Hill to retire, sort of. She's running for a county supervisor job, and Lesko had endorsed Toma.
And again, as we see tonight, it looks like that did not work out. Let's get out to Kinsey Beach, who is live with the latest on this race. Kinsey.
Yeah, guys, as you mentioned, a very crowded, populated 8th Congressional District, 6 candidates, but it is coming down to either Abe Hamadeh or Blake Masters. Both of them got those endorsements from Trump. We were actually at the Kari Lake watch party tonight to see kind of what happened here, because Hamadeh does have an endorsement from Kari Lake. We know she won her race tonight, but also in that race is Greg Whitten. I know this is a very Republican-leaning district, but in a statement, Whitten tells us that he's still waiting on this race to be called and is prioritizing access to women's health care and protecting Medicare and Medicaid. On the other side, both Masters and Hamadeh passionate about securing the border and the right to life. Now, I've been in very close contact with Abe Hamadeh's team tonight. They debated coming to this Kari Lake watch party. He's actually at home with his family tonight, waiting for this race to be called, but they are very happy with how this race has gone thus far. In Phoenix, Kinsey Beach, Fox 10 News.
While people like my mom paid the price.
Kenzie, thank you. All right, so let's go to State District 17. This is interesting. It is currently held by Justine Wadsack, and she's on track to lose to Vince Leach. At this point, this is all unofficial at this point. She lost an endorsement, though, recently because body camera footage of a speeding stop came out earlier in the month, and it was controversial, and she lost a significant endorsement. So it looks like right now that she might not hold off there.
And Vince Leach was well known in that area down in the Marana area where this race is being held. So it's going to be interesting to see if he gets that seat back. So again, keeping an eye on all these races as the results are coming in tonight.
We'll be right back.
Your Fox 10 weather experts with Corey, Crystal, and Ty all day on Mix 96.9. The best mix of the 90s to now. 10 News is back.
Welcome back here to your primary coverage. Some November matchups were set even before today because some candidates were running unopposed. In District 5, incumbent Republican Andy Biggs will face Democrat Katrina Schnaffner. The district includes Gilbert, Queen Creek, and Apache Junction and typically leads Republican.
And for House District 7, Republican Dan Gutierrez will take on incumbent Democrat Raul Grijalva. This district includes much of southern Arizona, and this also leans Democratic. And for House District 9, that represents much of western Arizona. The incumbent there, Paul Gosar, very well known in Arizona, he will face off against Democrat Kwesi Smith. And that district leans Republican.
We have more election coverage ahead right here at 10 o'clock. You can see the results right there on your screen. You can also get them as well at fox10phoenix.com. We'll be right back. Fox 10 News at 10:30. The presumptive Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, is planning a campaign stop in Phoenix next week with her running mate. An update on the timing of her VP pick.
And a Senate committee grilling the Secret Service and FBI over the failed response to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. We asked voters also what they think is the biggest issue facing Arizona today and why they turned out to vote. One of the main things they say, they want their voice to be heard.
I would say the biggest issue is the political divide between left and right, Republicans and Democrats.
Definitely abortion. Abortion is going to be the biggest issue and the biggest issue that swings voters in the primary or the general election in November. I think it's going to bring a lot of people out to vote.
If you want to make things better, you have to start by getting involved, and voting is one way to get involved, and the other ways too, but it's one of the biggest things to do.
Watching the best. Fox 10 News at 10:30.
And now at 10:30, the polls closed at 7 p.m. Results started coming in around 8 o'clock, and election workers are now counting many other ballots.
Yeah, the results that we got in that first dump of votes, that was from those early ballots that were already mailed in.
Right.
And then we're waiting to get a lot of results left from people who voted today and also who dropped off their early ballots at their locations today. A lot of votes have been counted, but there are a little over 1.5 million votes that were cast for the primary election today. About 80% of those ballots were already received today by election officials because of, again, popular early voting in Arizona.
And Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez is live now at the Maricopa County Tabulation Center in downtown Phoenix with a look at what's happening right now. Ashley.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a really long night for a lot of poll workers. Their shift pretty much started at 7 p.m. once the polls closed, but they didn't come here. And behind me, it's actually empty. There's not any counting happening because the poll workers were deployed to crisscross through Maricopa County and go to each one of the voting centers, and there's 222. So they go there, they pick up the drop-off ballots, and then they pick up a memory drive with everyone's vote on it. Then they come back here. Now, as for voter turnout, we did expect it to be pretty low. It's usually low for the primaries, and right now it looks like it's just above 22%. So as you mentioned, all of the results that we saw come in at 8 o'clock, that is from the mail-in and early ballots. There's about 500,000 of them that came in initially, and it's become a very popular form of voting for Arizonans. Every single election year, we see more and more people opting to mail in their ballot or vote early. Now, as for the counting for in-person election results, because that's what we really want to see, that's what's going to determine the totals, well, it's going to be a longer process this time around because there is a new law that poll workers have to follow, and I was able to talk to Bill Gates about that. Take a listen.
For the first time in this election, we're required to count up all of those early ballots. So those are those green envelopes that are dropped off today. So a lot of different responsibilities that our folks have, but slowly but surely we will be getting these totals will be increasing throughout the night into early morning.
So there was some concern because they have to first count up all of the drop-off ballots before they can even load them on the truck, before they can even bring them here. There would be a delay. So the results will be coming in slower, but that's okay. You know, elections take time and they want to be accurate. They want to take their time. There is no rush. Although Gates is very confident that he will have 95% of the totals by Friday. So of course we're going to keep you updated, but as for now, wow, for these poll workers, the night has just begun. They're going to be working into the wee morning hours, and I know Bill himself said that he had been up at like 5 a.m. today. He'll probably be seeing that 5 a.m. hour tomorrow as well. Yeah. So we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, Ashley, we understand that those trucks should be arriving soon from those voting places, and I hope they have a lot of coffee out there where you are, because it's going to be a long night, long morning.
And we said too, they have to follow the law. That is the law. So I mean, that's exactly what they're doing.
But I'll tell you, it's the funniest thing. They are in the highest spirits. The ones that showed up right around that 7 o'clock mark, they're excited. They have these big smiles. They're energetic, and I'm just looking at them like, God bless you. So thank you for all that you do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Ashley, thank you for that tonight.
Yeah. All right, well, Arizonans could influence what happens next with the U.S.-Mexico border crisis.
Now, there's a ballot measure on illegal immigration and border security, seemingly a key decision in the November election. The latest proposal is controversial, and the opposition to this say that it's racist.
Fox 10's Justin Lum explains Proposition 314.
It is a top issue headed to the November ballot this election, border security. Proponents of Prop 314 say this will empower local law enforcement to arrest migrants crossing the border illegally. Advocates for migrants say this is just deja vu.
This is now SB 1070 on steroids.
Alejandra Gomez not holding back. She's the executive director of Living United for Change in Arizona, or Lucha, the Latino advocacy group fighting against the Secure the Border Act that Gomez believes is a duplicate copy of SB 1070. In 2010, the controversial bill passed, allowing police to check the immigration status of people they believed to be in the U.S. illegally. Now, Proposition 314 makes it a state crime for non-citizens entering the state at any location other than a port of entry. Arrests can lead to deportations ordered by state judges.
It only has to do with people that are crossing the border illegally. It does not have to do with people who are already in the states.
State Senate President and Republican Warren Peterson blames the federal government for failure at the border.
If the federal government was enforcing the law, there would be no need for us to mirror the federal law.
Under the Secure the Border Act, local law enforcement would need probable cause to make contact with anyone who appears to be crossing illegally.
If someone is presumed to look as if they are undocumented, it is the outright targeting of Black and brown people.
Under this legislation, people using false documentation to apply for public benefits or employment could be charged with a Class 6 felony. But will law enforcement have enough resources?
What we have heard from law enforcement is that they are not prepared to be able to incur now the influx of having to be also immigration agents.
We've always funded public safety sufficiently. If they need resources, we'll provide those resources.
The proposed legislation also cites the fentanyl crisis as why a deterrent at the border is needed to slow down drug trafficking. Knowingly selling fentanyl that leads to the death of another person would be a Class 2 felony, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Messages to voters on both sides of the immigration debate growing louder ahead of the November election. Proponents of the measure claim racial profiling won't exist. Opponents vow to stop the bill at the ballot on behalf of mixed-status families.
It doesn't matter what country they're from. If they don't come through a lawful port of entry, then they're breaking the law.
The progressive infrastructure is going to knock on 5 million doors. So we feel very confident that we will be able to stop this should it make it to the ballot in November.
Meanwhile, immigration advocates are in the process of appealing a Maricopa County judge's ruling that kept the border bill on the ballot. Advocates say that the legislature lumped in unrelated topics like fentanyl, public benefits, and immigration. Meanwhile, supporters of the initiative say this all falls under the single subject of border security. I'm Justin Lum, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Justin. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance campaigning in Nevada today. It's the first rally that he's hosted in Nevada since being chosen as Trump's running mate. The Ohio senator spoke to a local high school focusing on the Biden administration's immigration record.
They turn a blind eye while those fraudsters steal American jobs and undercut American wages. And if the failed border czar wins, she is not going to stop until every illegal immigrant has the right to vote, which is going to destroy your voice in your own country to make room for people who shouldn't even be here.
And after that appearance in Henderson, Nevada, Vance is coming to Arizona. He'll rally in Glendale tomorrow night before heading down to visit the border on Thursday.
The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee also on the campaign trail today. We're talking about VP Kamala Harris. She held a rally in Atlanta, Georgia. And rapper Megan Thee Stallion kicked things off with a performance. It was a packed house as Harris took the stage.
On day one, I will take on price gouging and bring down costs. We will ban more of those hidden fees and surprise late charges that banks and other companies use to pad their profits.
And she's expected to pick a running mate by next week and then campaign in a number of swing states. One stop will be here in Phoenix, and we expect that to happen sometime next week. Coming up here at 10 o'clock, progress in the fight against Arizona's largest active wildfire. Updates on the Sandstone fire when we come back.
watching the best Fox 10 News.
Welcome back. Firefighters are finally getting some containment tonight on the sandstone fire burning in the Tonto National Forest. That fire is located just 14 miles northeast of Fountain Hills, and it has now closed the southbound lanes of State Route 87. ADOT's not given any estimated time for that highway to reopen. Fire started last Thursday. So far, it's burned more than 24,000 acres, and more than 300 fire personnel are working to put out the flames. They have it 20% contained so far. The Sunflower area, though, does remain on set status, and people living there, they should have a bag packed and be ready to evacuate if needed.
Today, a Senate committee questioned two senior national security executives about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
The acting director of the Secret Service and a deputy director of the FBI were pressed on what happened and who's going to be held responsible. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has details.
This was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days.
A bipartisan grilling on Capitol Hill.
You're a black hole. People don't believe you're being direct with them.
In the hot seat, Deputy FBI Director Paula Bate and Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, on the job just 1 week following the resignation of Kimberly Cheadle. Rowe pressed in part on apparent communication breakdowns with local police.
I think he was identified as being suspicious by local law enforcement.
And nothing happened.
Well, I know that local law enforcement was attempting to locate him.
A local law enforcement official disputes Rowe's claims at today's hearing over where the local snipers were positioned at the rally, telling our correspondent, C.B. Cotton,
the accusation that somehow we were told that to be on the roof line, for instance, and that it was too hot. That's ridiculous. They were prepared to be wherever they were told by Secret Service that day.
Rowe says people at his agency may be fired once his investigation concludes. He was peppered with questions about how the suspect, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, was able to get onto the roof with a gun and fire at least 8 rounds at Donald Trump, killing 1 person and injuring the former president and 2 others.
I went to the roof of the AGR building where the assailant fired shots, and I laid in a prone position to evaluate his line of sight. What I saw made me ashamed. I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured.
Despite more than 450 interviews and more than 2,000 tips from the public, the FBI still has yet to identify a motive. The Bureau confirmed the July 13th shooting was planned days in advance. The Bureau says Crooks used overseas encryption methods, and there's much out there agents have yet to learn.
Some of the email accounts.
Have we broken into them?
We've received returns. There are some that we have not been able to get information back because of their encrypted nature.
Today's hearing will likely be the last until members of the House and Senate return to Washington in September after the August recess. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
All right, looking ahead to November, abortion is expected to be on the ballot. We have a preview coming up here at 10 o'clock.
watching the best Fox 10 News.
In the fall, Arizonans will be faced with a key issue that will be on the November ballot.
Now it's known as Prop 139, and it would protect abortion rights until fetal viability. Fox 10's Justin Lum reports on what proponents and the opposition are saying.
Abortion, a hot-button topic across the nation, especially here in Arizona, a battleground for abortion access since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022. Chris Love, spokesperson with Arizona for Abortion Access, advocating for a proposed constitutional amendment. It would change what reproductive rights look like now.
Arizona is living under an extreme abortion ban that limits abortion to 15 weeks. There are no protections for victims of rape or incest. There are very limited minimal protections for medical emergencies. And we just don't feel that that's enough.
Under Prop 139, abortions could be done until a fetus is able to survive outside of the womb, which is typically 24 weeks.
And then thereafter, there's some protections for the physical and mental health and the life of the pregnant person.
We believe this amendment definitely goes too far in how it allows abortion beyond viability, how it removes safety standards, keeps parents in the dark, and puts women at risk.
Joanna De La Cruz, on behalf of the It Goes Too Far campaign, saying just that. Opponents believe the measure's use of the term healthcare professional is broad, not specifically stating the term doctor or physician when speaking of who can help perform the abortion.
We're not just talking about performing a surgical abortion, but who could provide the pill, who could sign off on a post-viability abortion.
Critics say the proposal could lead to unlimited and unregulated abortions in Arizona. Prop 139 would prohibit the state from adopting or enforcing any law to stop a procedure.
It would be nearly impossible to make any fixes or changes as these problems begin to arise.
Love says the choice for an abortion should belong solely to the pregnant person and not the government.
We're tired of these retrograde decisions being made by politicians and courts as opposed to putting medical decisions back into the hands of the people that know better, and that's the patients and medical providers who are trained to make these decisions.
Last Friday, Arizona for Abortion Access won a publicity pamphlet lawsuit after suing a Republican-led legislative council for using the phrase unborn human being to describe the word fetus. On Prop 139's ballot summary, the court found that the phrase has provocative and emotional partisan meaning. I'm Justin Lum for Fox 10 News.
Meanwhile, anti-abortion group Arizona Right to Life withdrew its challenge that 800,000 signatures gathered were not valid. But the group is continuing its lawsuit against the Abortion Access Act to keep it off the November ballot. We will keep you updated, of course. All right, now we want to go to sports with Richard and more on the Cardinals.
Yeah, Ellen, we check in with Megan Plain and the Arizona Cardinals. Megan, out at Cards camp.